All right. Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. Hey, Dev Souza, how's it going? I'm just gonna wait a minute to let a few people show up. How's the audio and everything? Look good? Sound good? I have so much trouble with audio. I need like someone to help me, I think, but I just don't know. Every time I listen to a recorded stream afterwards, it's like something's wrong. I don't know. All right. So today's gonna be another dog fooding session. So we're going back to the work that we were doing on Monday now. Which is basically this movie. And now I beg to see you dance. Oh, episode 3. Shoot. I forgot to update the title. So the title of the stream is probably incorrect. It probably says that I'm doing compiler work, and I'm not. I'm going to be doing some. This will be the dog fooding episode 2, I guess. So I'll fix that later. Hopefully doesn't affect like click-through rates too much, but it might. Let's see if I can update the titles live. I'm not sure. Compose dog fooding. I'm not sure what'll happen then or not. Okay, let me see if it updated on Twitch. Okay, looks like it did. So yeah, so today we're gonna be doing dog fooding. We're making this kind of app experience here. On Monday we didn't get super far, but you can kind of see we ended up creating this very half-baked carousel thing, which has this scrollable container. Hey Roshan, nice to see you. Glad to hear you tuning in from India. So we've got quite a bit of work to do for this, but I think we'll be able to make some good progress today. Oh, also for anyone listening in previous streams, I've had some trouble if I switch windows to like Chrome or something, or if something's in the way and then I go back to coding, I sometimes forget to switch the stream back. So we had this idea to make like a command in chat that'll somehow alert me of this, or it allows you all to let me know that I'm doing something stupid. So I did set something up. So I think if I do exclamation mark womp, it should play a sound. Let's see if that works. Did not work. I'm not sure if it actually sent a message. Let me see what happens if I do that. Interesting. Okay. Let's see, can someone try that? Just basically typing in, am I using stream elements? I am technically, but this command is a Twitch thing. So if you type womp like that into the chat, theoretically it should play a sound, but it doesn't seem to be working. All right, well, if it doesn't work, we'll just, I'll try some more and see if I can get it by next stream. We'll see. Let me actually I just want to try from the Twitch page. Okay, yeah, it doesn't look like it works. I'm not sure why. I'll look into that. Okay, anyway, let's just go ahead and get started. One of the things I did off stream was I just made this little data class for movie, which says title, poster, background, chips. And then I just made a few which should match the actual example here that we have. That way we're just kind of comparing apples to apples. One thing that I'll probably do in the future, like you can see some of the movie posters here. Like this Good Boys movie poster. It seems to, I mean, I couldn't find one that was just like that. I found this. It's got a bunch of other stuff on it. I'll probably go in and actually edit this with some photo editing software to try and improve it. So but like for now, we're just gonna use that, and it should be a pretty good proxy for what we're going for. So if we're in here, we can just real quick change this so that it's just using this movies property. I'll just pass that movie in, and we'll want to update this to actually accept a movie poster, or a movie. And then this will end up being movie.poster URL. And then this will be movie.title. And then we'll loop through each chip. Chip and movie.chips. All right. Chip. It's just a string, so. Leland is there. Work going on for navigation stuff, specifically for Compose. Yes, there is. So right now, you can see the commits are public if you want to go look at them. But we're working on a compose kind of extension of the navigation architecture component, which I'm not sure exactly when it'll get released, but they're making good progress on it, and yeah, I'm liking the direction it's heading. So you can expect that. Not sure if you had any follow-up questions for that. So, all right. Okay, someone played the womp sound. So, HMI hi, how did you do that? Because when I tried it, it didn't work. If you could let us know what you did, that'd be great. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and build this. Should look reasonable, but one of the things that I want to do is if you look at this UI, great, yeah. So if you look at this UI, this like front poster card thing, I'm gonna want that. I'm gonna probably put all three of those in a stack, and then I'll manually set the offset myself, because it kind of, there's some transforms and stuff that are happening as it moves away from center, and I want to be able to do that manually. And then in the background, you can see that there's like a wipe going on with these images. And so I'm gonna put those images in a stack as well, and we'll have to do some tricks to basically have one be above the other, depending on which direction you're going. And then the other thing, so in the background, we're gonna have this white gradient coming up from the bottom of the screen, which these cards sort of just like blend into. And then the other mistake I made was that the buy ticket button is actually separate from these like cards, and so we'll move them out. So let's go ahead and try this out. Interesting. There's an icon on the middle right of the screen. Okay, so in the Twitch dashboard, I like turned on the sound alerts extension as like a component. I'm not really sure what that means, to be honest, but I guess that's probably where you were able to grab it. And maybe it's just not picking up the chat commands, which I'm not sure why that would be. Is the icon in the middle right of the screen, is that annoying? Is it in the way of the video in any way or anything like that? Let me know. My Kita, it's streamed to YouTube as well as Twitch and Periscope, which, by the way, I guess I'm looking for any sort of feedback on whether or not that's a good idea or not. I'm kind of new to this, so I'm not really sure what everyone does here, but it seemed to like I want to have a presence on YouTube because I want to build some I want to create some sort of short form edited videos, and I also want these streams to be uploaded forever, whereas on Twitch they'll get taken down eventually. And so that was kind of my thinking there. And then Periscope seemed like a reasonable way to reach my current audience, which I have. I mean, the only social media platform I'm really active on prior to this was Twitter, and so that's one of the things that it seems like Periscope has a decent amount of integration with Twitter, which might help there. But I've definitely seen a lot more people listening in on YouTube and Twitch than Periscope. So anyway, looking for some feedback there. If anyone has strong opinions, let me know. Let's see. Why not just post the stream on YouTube? Do you mean, Isaac, do you mean like, why not just tweet out a link to the YouTube stream? Or do you mean like avoid streaming on all of the other platforms altogether, like just do YouTube? Let's go back to programming here. So let's see, we can actually, so this updated, we've got yeah, good boys, and then the Joker one in the middle is clipped. But we're gonna change the layout of all that ourselves in a second here. So let's see, where's that button? The buy ticket button. We want to remove remove this spacer as well, and then we'll kind of be putting that up here. So what did I do? So I made this row scrollable, which I'm actually gonna, what do I want to do here? I'm gonna change this to a stack, and then I'm also gonna change this to a stack. In my opinion, YouTube is awesome for such things. Yeah, I mean, it seems like Twitch is where I see a lot of other people doing the live streaming, and YouTube is much more about higher quality edited content. Yeah, Isaac, so this is being streamed to YouTube, so it'll be saved there as well. And so I felt like, Twitch, which so far the viewer numbers on Twitch have been the highest, despite me having way more followers on YouTube, for whatever that's worth. Not that there's like a huge disparity, but that's definitely what I've seen so far. And then, I mean, it seems like that, live streaming is kind of what is done on Twitch. And so it's more typical to find people using Twitch that sort of want that format of content. And so it seems like staying on Twitch would be important. At least that's how I'm thinking right now. But I'm gonna change this to be that for each indexed, and then because we'll probably be using the index for some math here, and so behind. Let's see. What are we doing? So actually, maybe we don't need multiple stacks here. I can move the offset. So our movie poster should receive a modifier here. So let's move this modifier to the movie poster directly, and then just remove the stack in the middle. because we're kind of going to be doing some layout manually here, if you want to think of it that way. So I've got all these movie posters. They're just sitting there. And then I'm going to be adjusting the offsets myself. And I want to also put an image in the background for like that background image that we're going to wipe back and forth. So let's see how that'll look. So BG URL. Yeah, thanks for sending the link, Makita. I think I need to look into it. I think I can get like a vanity URL on YouTube, but I haven't looked into how to do that yet. So for now it's just this long unique URL. So let's see, for this, what we want to do, we want to fill the width, and in addition to that, I think that we can do an aspect ratio like we were doing for the other one. Let's go and look at what that aspect ratio was. Might want to just save this into a constant val poster aspect ratio. Do that. Okay, and then what I actually want to do is, on top of all of these, I'm just gonna create a white gradient that goes from the bottom up. So let's try and figure that out. I can really just use a spacer here. And this will be fill max width. Shouldn't the gradient be between coil image and movie poster? Yeah, that's correct. So I think maybe I'll just do, I don't want to render n gradients. So I'll just loop over these twice. So we'll do the backgrounds here, and then the posters here, and then the gradient, and then this will go in between them. So to do a linear gradient, what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a background with a brush. And so a brush is like an abstraction for like a fill of a shape, and so like color is kind of the most common for this, and so a lot of our overloads will have colors that you can choose, but a brush is sort of like a more generic thing. And so then we can create a linear gradient, which is a type of brush. And so then the color stops are basically pairs of a float and a color. So let's see. So we can say 0 to color.white, and then 1 to color.transparent. And that should kind of be what we want. We'll probably tweak it a little bit from there. So start X, start Y. Yeah, sorry, Shashank. I guess I updated the title afterwards, and I'm guessing that YouTube won't update it live or something, and so I just forgot to update the title before hitting stream. So I'll go and fix the YouTube title whenever the stream ends. Leela and I had a question. Are the Kotlin top-level functions converted into static functions? If so, will it impact the app's startup time? Good question. So the answer to the first part is yes. A top-level function is it's a static function. Whether or not it impacts start time, it shouldn't. It'll impact startup time if that class, like, so every file, top level declaration will create a file class, and then the function will be a static function on that, and that function shouldn't get loaded until it's used, and so it shouldn't affect startup time. That said, like, in general, startup time is something that we're like definitely paying attention to in Compose, because with the current UI toolkit, for instance, everything's built into the operating system, and so it can like basically you can expect those classes to be fully loaded and JITted and everything, and it won't impact your startup time, whereas Compose is a library and user space, and so that's one of the things where, like, we're at a little bit of a disadvantage, and you know, we're trying to make sure that doesn't hurt us too bad, and there might be some tricks that we end up playing to do that. Vertical gradient instead of linear gradient. Is there a vertical gradient? Oh, okay. I didn't even know that API existed, so that's nice. It seems like it wouldn't even affect the call site very much. What is the difference there? I see. So they just it doesn't require an X. It just, yeah, so you don't have to specify start X or end X, you just specify along one dimension. Yeah, that helps. So let's see. I'm not sure what. Let's just try like 0 and 1. Oh, is that? Oh, it wants a list instead of. Instead of a var args. We can do that. Oh, I see. And then we don't have to specify the pairs. Yeah, that's nice. All right. So this is just filling the max width, but we need to give it a height. And so what I might do is just use that with a fraction here. So like, let's say it fills up like 30% of the screen. And then I don't think we want weight here. What am I thinking of? Not position, but Interesting. I think it's absolute offset. It's kind of a weird name. Not sure. I'm gonna see what this does right now. I've got the scrollable controller. What am I gonna want to do here? This offset I'm gonna have to tweak. Okay, so we've got basic. The spacer doesn't seem to be showing up with the, probably need to put that there. Do I want to use gravity for this? Probably. So alignment dot bottom center seems reasonable. What is the coding language you use? So the language here is Kotlin. Does D8's optimization have any impact on compose? Yes, significantly so. Right now, like it's actually very important to use R8 and D8 on a compose project. There are several optimizations that are pretty critical. A big one is that R8 will merge lambdas together, and so if a lambda has the same signature as another lambda, after it runs through R8, it'll essentially only create one class for those two lambdas, and the invoke implementation will just have like a switch statement between the two, and this ends up being pretty huge when it comes to trimming down the number of classes that are generated and stuff like that. So that's one really important optimization. There are other things that end up being kind of big deals. Like there's a lot of constant folding and inlining that R8 will do. That some of the things, like for instance, the stuff that I'm doing on my compiler streams right now, that's gonna essentially rely on R8 to inline a lot of those constants. Is there support in Android Studio or plans for it, similar to applied changes for Compose? Yeah, I mean, so applied changes should work right now with Compose, but there are ways that we can make it work better that we are working on. Why don't you use Java instead? Do you think Kotlin is better? So I do think Kotlin is better, but regardless of what's better or worse, or my opinions on those things, right now we're implementing things with Compose, Jetpack Compose, which is a new UI toolkit for Android, and you can only define composable functions in Kotlin because it uses the Kotlin compiler to do its thing. So we kind of have to use Kotlin right now. I thought it does not work with static functions. So there are certain things that it doesn't work with, but I think static methods just got added. Don't quote me on that. I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure it does. Okay. So what I want to try and do is like start to play around with some of the math that we're gonna use to tweak the offset here, and some other things. So let's see. Let's say, we had the screen size somewhere, right? Did we do that? If you know JavaScript, it has a framework called React Native. You can use it for Android and iOS. This is pretty funny. If you look up my name and React Native, you'll find a lot of content. So I'm very aware of React Native, and I used to be very active in the community. Yeah, the gradient is not showing up right now. No, you don't have to apologize. I just find it funny, but there's no reason for you to know. So one thing that we might want to do is just pull this up here. So I'm going to use it in some of my calculations. Do I plan to upload source code somewhere? Yeah, that's a good idea. I haven't thought about it much, but I'll create like a GitHub repo and publish it there. Kotlin is like Dart. Yeah, they have some similarities. Yeah, it's better than Dart by a million. Okay, so I think it makes sense to pass the width in here, and we're probably going to change it from screen size a little bit. Actually, so let's get screen. I'm gonna get the full screen size in DP, and then I'm gonna multiply it here so that we can do some other math with that number. Do you know if Java compiler supports plugins like Kotlin? No, it does not. It's one of the. There are multiple reasons, but it's one reason why Kotlin sort of chosen here. I love React and React Native. I do as well. I think they're great technologies. There's a library called ByteBuddy. Okay. There's no official plugin support, but there's a library called ByteBuddy, kind of low level. Yeah, I don't know much about that. Hello, Adrian. Okay, so this is getting our offset. What we kind of want to do is like, so let's just try to get, we're going to be kind of building our own makeshift layout here. But so if we get X, it's going to be the offset plus the, let's say we're going to have one poster per like screen width, basically. So then we can say screen size times index. And then this probably needs to float. What are these? Oh, these are DPs. should be able to say that value, and we're good there. So this should sort of just kind of stack them horizontally. Please share the playlist. Yeah, sorry, I kind of dropped the ball on that. I'll try my best to figure out how to do that. I think it's somewhere, but also if you look at the bottom left of my screen, the bottom left of the stream should have like the now playing, and then I think, let me see. There's a what's playing link, which, oh, that just goes to my Twitch stream. I don't, this might do something different for me, but let me know what happens if you go to pretzel.rocks/Leland Richardson. Okay, so it's interesting that so the padding didn't get included in the width here, which is a little bit surprising to me. Oh, it might be because we like hard coded this. I wonder if we change this to fill max width. That might work. And then we should change this to the constant that we made. Let me see what that does. Andre, you're talking about the Byte Buddy thing? It's pretty similar. Yeah, that link redirects to Twitch, so that's kind of weird. Anyway, let me see if there's like a publish online or something button. There's not. I'll maybe just write down the playlist or something. I'm not sure I can. I don't see a way to publish the playlist online. What do you think about Enko? Was it any inspiration? I mean, so I think Enko was a good implementation of like a sane thing to do as like a third-party library, right? You know, it uses the view system, and it creates like a kind of declarative API around views, and I think that's totally reasonable. Doing what Compose is doing, I don't really think it would be really hard for Compose to get traction, I think, if it didn't have the weight of the Android team behind it, because otherwise it would be very non-standard in all kinds of ways. So yeah, I think Enko was great for what it was. I think that now I think Compose is like a better path forward, and it's a UI toolkit that's like it's a UI toolkit that was built from the ground up for the declarative paradigm, and that's important. But as far as like sources of inspiration, not much. Mostly, I would say our inspiration came from frameworks like React and Flutter, more so than Enko. For a decent intro to compiler plugins, how do they compare to Java plugins? Yeah, so we definitely didn't want to go to the annotation processor route, but And so that links probably shows some of the important differences. I'm wondering if you now like Kotlin more than JavaScript. Yeah, I mean, I'm a pretty big fan of Kotlin. I mean, there's still some, like, JavaScript is still, it's you know, you can do a lot of nice, clever things in JavaScript. It's a very flexible language, very expressive language. Kotlin is also very expressive. There's some things that I would, change in Kotlin, if I could, or like I hope maybe we'll change eventually. I think I like JavaScript more and more as TypeScript becomes more and more popular. I think TypeScript is very well done, and some of the capabilities that you have in the TypeScript type system, I am very jealous of and wish that we had in Kotlin's type system. Yeah, certainly the compilation time of Kotlin is one big thing. And hopefully that'll improve. There's been some very there's been some really good numbers coming out of the work that JetBrains is doing to move to the front end IR, which should pretty dramatically improve the front end compile time performance of Kotlin, which is where the majority of the time is spent. I remember when Compose had comments in Dart code. Yeah, so some of the subsystems of Compose were ported from Flutter, and so there's some references there. Thanks for doing the stream. As soon as I'm Compose expert, I'll do the same. It's great. Yeah, thanks for saying so. What would I change in Kotlin? There are a number of small things, but I mean, some of the big things are like getting union types would be huge. Getting let's see. So union types would be one. There are some things around how like I would really like some sort of an abstraction around what's the right way to frame this? Like basically abstracting around the signature of a function. And so like allowing for more intelligent, like variadic function types, and like being generic around a function's argument types is like, it's hard to do because of Java interop, but like it would allow for much easier use of higher order functions in Kotlin, and creating abstractions around arbitrary function types, which you can't do in Kotlin very easily, but is very easy to do, for instance, in JavaScript. Yeah, type classes are pretty interesting. I'm also a pretty big fan of Swift and the way Swift protocols work. I kind of wish that we had something like that in Kotlin, but obviously that's just not the way JVM works, so it's hard. But type classes are kind of one way that we'd get some of that. What else? This is probably like a Beatty statement, but I wish we had the ternary expression. That would be nice. Better pattern matching. I don't know. Those are a few things. Yeah, Arrow's doing some really cool stuff. Also as languages are experimenting more with algebraic effects, it would be, I mean, that, you know, it's still a very academic thing, and no language has really done it well, but long term, some notion of that would be interesting, especially how it would pertain to compose. Also, like first class immutability would be great. Like if like instead of data class, if I could say immutable class, and in like, so that would be great. And if it would enforce some level of immutability, and then also like some sort of struct type, like inline classes are a big step in that direction. Still experimental, but they only wrap a single value. So if we had multi-value structs, which we probably will get soon, but it's waiting on Java's implementation, since they have to interop with that quite a bit. What do I think about Android's lag in adopting latest Java versions? I mean, I'm honestly, I'm pretty far removed from this, so my perspective on it is probably pretty similar to other people's. But I mean, I think that the reason, I mean, Java is moving pretty quickly, and like, you know, Android uses art, and so the art team needs to implement all of these features, you know, from the Dalvik bytecode format and everything that can sometimes be difficult to do. And you know, so I assume that that's where most of that lag is coming from, and like questioning, you know, how to allocate resources and stuff like that. So I mean, I think the more modern art can get in terms of its which Java versions it accepts, I think the better. But I also think that yeah, like I think I'm personally much more invested in Kotlin adopting these features, and then Kotlin being able to compile to a you know, Java version higher than 8. And so that's like sort of my perspective on it. So like, for instance, if we got like if Java structs, you know, get worked out, then I would personally try and push really hard for Kotlin to get a similar abstraction that they can use to compile the JVM bytecode, and then have that JVM bytecode then translate to art. Anyway, let's go back to this example here. So still getting I'm not sure why this offset is not going for the full thing. Does anyone have any ideas? By the way, I think someone said that this is probably like something like that might help us. We'll see. But okay, so it's a bit of a shame Android is holding some of the Java community, the same community that jump-started Android. I'm not sure what you meant by holding. Do you mean holding back some of the Java community? If so, yeah, I mean, I think that that's a justified take. You know, I think the better, the more compatible art gets with more modern versions of Java, the better. At least from my perspective, you know, I don't know what the reasons or justification for any of this is in terms of resource allocation at Google. Okay, so we've got this movie poster, and it gets a width, padding. We don't really need to center it anymore. I wonder if that's related to any of it. I'm just gonna see offset, screen size. This is the screen width. I wonder, is this supposed to be pixels? Is that the problem? Place. I think in offset, in pixels. Okay. I'm supposed to get this in pixels, I guess. Which is kind of weird. Because like, let me see. These are DP. I guess I should maybe have it return DP instead of float. Let me try that. So these could instead be DP. And then to int pixels. Try that. And then here, guess I can, actually now what I can do is probably this. Wonder if that'll work. Nope. Okay, that's fine. I'll just do that. And then we'll just make this 0 DP. Hello, what stack is this? So this is Android. We're working on Jetpack Compose, which is it's a new UI toolkit for Android that I work on. Is there a way to align spacer to the bottom of the coil image? Seems like gravity doesn't work. Yeah, I mean, so I assume the answer is yes, but I'm kind of annoyed that it's not working. So this is one of the reasons I wanted So I was trying to push for when Bernardo Ferrari recommended that we have these fractional heights here. One of the reasons I wanted that was so that we could also position things relative to the parent. And I think, like, so if I do, like, what I really want is to be able to say this. That's what I want. And I was actually trying to push for modifiers like this, and received some pushback. So I'm curious what the right way of doing this is. Yeah, so will Compose support Kotlin multi-platform? Yeah, I mean, so like, if you see in the repo, JetBrains is doing some stuff with Kotlin multi-platform to like support desktop, and like, you know, Google will be supporting them in that effort, like, but you know, just sort of the bare minimum, I guess I would say, like, as Dev Souza mentioned, like, you know, our focus right now is on Android and getting Compose to be a good, stable, robust toolkit for Android. And you know, we don't want to get distracted from that, but we also don't want to block JetBrains from the work that we're doing. So if something is needed there, then we may help them or point them in the right direction. Mohammed says, just joined. What's happening? Thanks for joining, Mohammed. We're working on a movie app in Jetpack Compose for Android. So our goal is to make something kind of like this. And this is Jetpack Compose is something that I work on for Google, and I'm just playing around with Compose to see how things work. Dogfooding. But there is an effort to make Compose API more open to multi-platform implementations. JetBrains is working on a desktop version of Compose, right? Yeah, like I mentioned, there's a lot of desktop stuff in the Compose repository that you can look at, that JetBrains is working on. And the overall architecture of Compose, including the you know, the compiler plugin and everything, you know, is built in a way that is very amenable to this type of work, which is one of the reasons that JetBrains was interested in doing this. Bottom end. I wonder, because I did use bottom center, I think, right? Or oh, I was using gravity. So you're saying that align? Is that a thing? Alignment. And I think gravity is the only thing that I have here. But so we can see if that works. So now hopefully and I have this extra offset in here, which I don't want, which probably broke that. So we can see our gradient kind of happening now. Okay, so that's working. We've now got one poster per screen. We'll play around with that some more. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so we now have one poster per screen, which is nice. And we'll start playing around more with that. But so using DP here fixed it. And then it does. So it looks like this is aligning it to the bottom, but kind of seems like this fill max size isn't quite working, because it'll the spacers showing up aligned to the bottom of the image, but not, we want it to the bottom of the screen. So that's kind of disappointing. So let's change the order of these, and set that there. Screen width. So this is the screen width, and I'm gonna get the screen height. And I mean, so another thing that kind of bums me out is like what I really want for this vertical gradient is I want the gradient to just span the whole size of the thing. So if I just said fill max height, I kind of want to be able to give it like a gradient fill where this isn't an end pixel, but like an end height, which I think I can actually do, but it's disappointing to me that that's not how it works out of the box. Let's play around with that. So I guess just like a quick reminder, like the one of the purposes of me doing this, like the motivation here, is for me to actually try out these APIs myself and find out what things are painful or like didn't match my expectation, and then use that as feedback to tweak these APIs before we go stable, and hopefully improve them. So like that's kind of the overarching goal here. I don't actually care about making this movie app. I care about making these APIs better and more intuitive. And so I'm kind of trying to look at that, look at this through that lens, and differentiate between something that you know, just wasn't my first guess, versus something that is actually the better API. So yeah, Bernardo Ferrari's here. Alignment gravity issues again, alignment refactoring. Yeah, I mean, I'm not opposed to refactoring things here, but I want to make sure that we understand what the intention of the current APIs are, and whether or not they're just incomplete, or there's a more fundamental sort of thing that we should change. Leland, what do you recommend if one wants to learn more deeply about algorithms and data structures? I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of good materials out there. Like a lot of books and stuff have a lot of these fundamental algorithms covered. Just also for a bit of background, I have no computer science background, so no formal computer science background. I went to college for math and physics, and was sort of a programmer as a hobby for most of my life, but ended up going down the software engineering career route. And a lot of the computer science I do know, I either kind of know just by through osmosis, you know, like picking it up over time, and also a lot of just self-learning. So while I haven't formally taken any computer science curriculum, I have done a number of online courses, which I strongly recommend to people. I think, especially in this industry, I think credentials don't matter nearly as much as actual knowledge. And I think that if you're disciplined, you can pick up a lot of knowledge just by free online courses. So definitely would recommend that to people. I know MIT has a bunch of really good data structures courses that I've taken myself. Will compose skip calling composable functions that are laid out outside of the screen? No, it doesn't do that type of analysis by default, and it doesn't really know it at the time of composition what the layout of things will be. So we don't currently make optimizations like that, with the exception of the lazy composables, which that's sort of their whole purpose is to make that optimization. Let's see. So far, I can say I love the Compose API, especially when coming from Android views. Yeah, it's good to hear that. I mean, I like it a lot more too. But that still doesn't mean that there's not a lot of improvement that we can make. I thought you went to magic school. These things are magic. Nope, just math. I started my career with MIT on EDX. Highly recommended. Yeah, a lot of really good stuff coming out of MIT, and also Stanford has a lot of open courseware, which is really great. What's the best resource to get started with Compose? Like learn the basics. We just published the Compose pathway on the Android developer resources site. So I think it's really great, actually. And so I would definitely recommend working through that if you haven't. It's probably the #1 resource out there. And there's also a lot of really great community contributed resources. Like Vinay Gaba has a Jetpack Compose by example repo, which is really awesome. And there's a lot of new stuff coming out every day from the community. So the community is doing really great on this front. And there will also be more resources that Google will continue to put up and publish. Good night, Rashawn. Thanks for tuning in. Is there a Compose API list? Yeah, the documentation is online. So developer.android.com. You can find all of the references here. This is for target animation. I'll just link this, which I have open, if you want to find that. I wonder about modifiers versus composable functions. I understand that a lot of composables can create a lot of noise with padding, scrolling, etc. But aren't you afraid that modifiers will become kind of a utility bag? No, I don't really have this concern. You know, modifier, like someone asked, like, well, isn't modifier like a god class or something? But it's really not. It's I mean, it's actually a pretty small class. It's an interface, really, and so we just use modifier to as sort of a namespace for other modifiers to be hung off of. And so most modifiers are defined as modifier extension methods. And we just found that works well because you kind of want to use like a nicer, simpler name, like background. And if that was just like some global somewhere, then that would, like a top level function called background, that would not be great. So hanging them off of this namespace works well. And I'm actually quite happy with this. I mean, let's see. Leland, can you talk a bit about what's going on when using compose view in a view hierarchy, especially when using multiple instances in a screen? Hit on overall perf and what's going on under the hood. Yeah, I can talk a little bit about that. There's, I mean, realistically, you can think of a compose view as just it's any other Android view, and it draws its content. It's just using a really complicated mechanism to draw its content, and then and that's, you know, the compose runtime and all of the architecture that's built into compose. As far as like overhead, it shouldn't create much overhead. I mean, like relative to the overhead of a view hierarchy describing a similar thing. So using multiple of them, I don't think there's too many issues. There might be bugs in this area still, if I'm being honest, like because one of the things that we need to do is we need to make sure all of the sort of OS level subsystems are piped through to the compose hierarchy properly. So that means like things like you know, selection, accessibility APIs, you know, layout, drawing, all this stuff. Like that interop is not necessarily like, it's not necessarily introducing a lot of overhead, but it is a lot of work that that has nuance, and so we might not be doing it correctly in every case, and that's part of the sort of hardening and robustness that we're, you know, working hard to get through. Let's see, to convert DP to use PX, yes, that's a way you can convert DP to PX, but I don't want to. I want to try and be pixel independent here. Oh, but yeah, so one thing you might be bringing up is that the offset is in pixels, and I'm using it as DP, so I'll need to convert that. So that might be what you were saying. So the other way around is kind of similar, but we'll insert we'll have to kind of create a layer in between the view and the layout nodes, and that can introduce a little bit of overhead. So like if you went like in a hierarchy from like layout node to view to layout node to view to layout node to view, that hierarchy is actually probably going to be twice the depth that you think it is, and so that would introduce maybe more overhead than you'd be expecting. I'm working for a startup and considering Compose for the next app. Can I expect that there would not be any dramatic change in Compose in your future? No. You can't expect that. Right now, Compose is in alpha, which means that that we are likely to change APIs. Yeah, so definitely, if you're going to use Compose right now, you need to have the expectation that things will change. Do you know current stage of loading font family from disk? I was thinking months back on doing a Google Fonts library like Flutter has. I don't know its current state. I think it's possible this is something that got cut as like a 1.0 feature, but I'm not sure. So best bet would be to file a bug or something and ask. Should I consider a Q&A session? Or maybe a Slido per stream? Yeah, maybe. I guess like, so here's like a meta question for all of you is like, when I'm like coding on stuff like this and I answer questions in the chat, does that bother you? Would you rather that I like ignore the chat and focus on coding? I'm thinking that like I would rather just interact with people and keep it entertaining for you, but maybe the real content you're looking for is actually like the coding. So let me know what you think, and maybe I can try to adjust. Like a Slido might be a good idea. I'll think about how to integrate that into the stream, but we can try and do something like that. But I think it's nice if there's sort of this back and forth, with the chat and me. I think it's nice. Okay, will there be a visual editor for Compose? Yeah, well, so the layout inspector will work with Compose, and we're improving that all the time, but it already works a little bit, and the preview has some integration as well, but we'll be improving that integration over time. So each Compose view is spooling its own Compose world, right? Yeah, I mean, some of its own stuff is managed, but it shouldn't be terribly expensive. At least I can't think of. I mean, yes, it is, but like for instance, like right now, the lazy column implementation, it basically creates a whole new composition for every item, and so it's similar to that. So that gives you some idea of like, it's not that much overhead, but it is enough that we're actually working really hard to make lazy column not work that way. So take that for what you will. Yeah, 50-50 or 60-40. He takes 10 seconds to reply to anyone that writes Compose on Twitter and has been getting a lot of work done. I have no idea how. Yeah, not everyone. Just the ones that I think could benefit from a reply. My opinion is that you should defer off-topic questions to a FAQ or something, especially because you get some of the same questions every stream. But I do like the discussion, so I don't know what the right balance is. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the questions we've been getting have been somewhat unique. So maybe there'll be like some regular ones over time that I can start maybe putting a FAQ on the Twitch page or something. Also, some people in the chat have been helping out with answering some questions myself, but do you mind if we interrupt you? Yeah, I don't mind. I mean, I think if I'm like in the groove of something, I'll just go ahead and keep coding, and then I'll come back to the chat later. But I mean, one of the reasons I think I'm interested in the live streaming format is because of the two-way communication. So or else I could just record this and then put it on YouTube and have no live component. But I think the making it interactive like this I think is nice. And I also think there's like a lot of good feedback and questions that come through the stream this way. So I don't mind it. How do you think the architecture would evolve? Single activity with everything handled inside compose, or multiple activities, fragments with each setting their own composable content? I think right now the multiple fragments or activities and one composable hierarchy per is a really good middle ground. One, because it makes it a lot easier to interop or like to migrate over from an existing app. And so I think that's like a super valid way to do things right now. Over time, I think we'll probably gravitate more towards the like single activity, single composition apps, like especially if you're building an app from scratch with Compose. And we'll probably like someone in the community or Google or someone will probably build like a good navigation solution for doing that. Devanshu, I missed your question earlier. Can you say it again? Sorry I missed it. I wanted to have an idea if there's much overhead to implement some fancy custom views inside a classical view app. Like it's so easy to make custom radio group compared to the old way. Yeah. So there's not like a crazy amount of overhead, but also like if you were doing an entire new composition for something like as small as say a radio button, that might be like I think it would be fair to say that would be like wasteful, but also it might be good enough that it doesn't matter for you. So like it's hard to say, but I guess I would say that there's like a middle ground where like you're building like part of a screen, but not such a small piece that it's like just a little radio button. That's probably like the sweet spot. Do you have at Google something like API testers, basically people that are doing what you want to achieve from writing these samples? Yeah, I mean, we get a lot of feedback from other sources. We do a lot of UX research with people outside of Google. And then we also, our DevRel team has been giving us a lot of good feedback. But I think a lot of times it's a little bit easier sometimes for someone like me who's very involved in the building of Compose itself to sort of get past the kind of initial hiccups and get at like some real actionable feedback. But that's not always true. I'm also blind to a lot of issues that other people might have that I don't, because certain things are just obvious to me because I like built them or something. Can you suggest which to learn first, Flutter or Compose, as Google Pay is rewritten in Flutter? I mean, well, if you want my suggestion, then learn Compose. But that's not to say Flutter isn't a great toolkit and platform and worth learning. It's just that I'm heavily biased in this regard. But I would say learn Compose. I think the future of Compose is looking quite good right now. When scoping a view model to a composable is possible and there's good navigation, I think then single activity will be possible. I think it would also be easier to support different screen formats. Yeah, I think that's true. Search Twitter for the compose keyword. Yeah. All right. Let's see. What were we even doing? I don't remember. Okay. So I actually kind of want to write down some of my feedback. So the fact that this didn't, like, I should be able to have it just fill the background really, and I wasn't able to do that. And I'm gonna make my own background overload that does that. Let's see if this is possible for me to do here. So I have a brush, and what I kind of want, oh, it's vertical gradient. That's kind of the problem, isn't it? So I might not need, good night, Shawshank. Thanks for tuning in. And yeah, I'll try and push all this to a GitHub repo. Okay, so it's a shader brush. So yeah, I think basically this just needs to be defined in a different way. What is the shader API? Oh. Dev Souza says, in my opinion, Flutter is better for an app that have a unique brand design, meaning will not have two versions designed with the platform in the case of that with platform design. Yeah, I think there's a lot of so like if you're using Flutter to build both an iOS and an Android app, or React Native, this ends up being way easier to share code if you have a brand design that tries to be independent of the platform for the most part. This was the case at Airbnb, and we were able to share, 98+% of code across platforms. But if you really want to do like the sort of platform specific design, it can get really hairy to do that. Can we have data classes in separate modules and still benefit from the optimization from the compiler? What if we had data classes in a compiled jar? So Migley, I think you're asking about the compiler optimization work that I'm doing, which, you might be the YouTube stream title is currently wrong. So right now we're doing Dogfooding and not the compiler work. But to answer your question, yes, and one of the reason like that making sure that that's true is one of the primary like design goals of the optimization that I'm doing, and it's one of the reasons that it's done in the particular way that I'm doing it. But good question. All right, so I'm just gonna I hate this a little bit, but I'm just gonna make my own vertical gradient modifier, mostly because I mean I could change this to work a different way, but I want to see what difficulty comes in from trying to implement this myself, if that makes sense. So let's just say brush alpha shape. So I'm gonna just have 2 colors. I guess I'll have a list of colors. Yeah, just to be simple, I'm just gonna do the first 2 colors. Maybe we'll keep the shape colors, color. Okay, so when we're drawing, yeah, that's fine. So this is just more efficient. So what I think I'm gonna do is in here actually. Do these have default implementations? No, they don't. Okay. I'll tweak this in a second. I think what I want to do is I want to have a brush here. Brush. And then basically, I want to say size is not equal to last size, or last brush. Let's just do this version of it because it's just going to simplify it, and we're just bespoke making this for us. Colors and alpha. I don't really think colors need to be there, or alpha. So we don't need outline. I'm just gonna draw rect. So then we say if size is different than the last size, or if brush is null, Then we're gonna make a brush here. So, and the brush we're gonna make is a vertical gradient, and we're gonna pass in the colors. And then the start Y is gonna be 0, and end Y is gonna be size.height. And then we'll save that brush. And we'll always save the size. Oh, no, we want to save the size here. So last size. So basically what I'm doing here is just creating like a cached brush so that it doesn't get reallocated for every draw pass. And then color, I think all I really want to do is brush. I'm drawing that, and then we can get rid of this. These are some APIs to make this modifier more inspectable. Value override. I don't actually know what the intention here is. I think just say colors. And then this expects colors, and I'll just keep that. Because that's like the configurable piece of this gradient. All right, so I think this should actually work. So let's see, let's try it out. And hopefully we did everything right here. So my hope is that the size of this gradient ends up being basically the width of the screen and the height, or 30% of the height of the screen. Let's see how that works. Let me look through this. So really wonder how you'll implement the snapping after you stop scrolling. Yeah, good question. So basically for the snapping of the carousel, the scroll controller. So basically, let me show you. So we create this scrollable controller here, and a scrollable controller has a fling config, and we are going to pass in a custom fling config. And if you look at fling config, it has this adjust target API. And what this allows us to do is whenever you fling the like a scrollable thing, when you let go, you've got some momentum and whatever. And so what we do is we then calculate with a default decay animation, where you would end up stopping, like where the fling would finally die down. And what you can do is so that where it'll die down will get passed into here. And what we can do is we can return a new target. And so we can make that like an integer multiple of like the screen or whatever. And then what that'll do is that'll like kind of correctly animate to that spot. So that's how I plan on doing it. It shouldn't take too much. Shouldn't take too much of a like lines of code to do it that way. Okay, so that so we got our built app here, and that looks like it worked as intended. But now we kind of need to change this a little bit because it's like it's too light, and you can see when the poster ends and stuff like that. So I actually think we're gonna adjust this a little bit to use the color stop one. Yeah. Which is gonna be a little bit more flexible for us. Although, are these color stops? Well, anyway, we'll find out because we'll map it if not. Let's see. That work? I want the vararg one. Yeah, start end. Why wouldn't that work? Oh, I need to turn this into an array. Why don't I just make this vararg? That way we don't allocate these intermediate arrays. Okay. And then realistically, I should also, well, no, that's because that's going to be different for each time. Yeah. All right. So let's do, I want to say 0.9f to color.white, and then 0 to color.white. See what that does. What is the playlist? Good question for the fact. Yeah, I might make a maybe like a bang playlist command or something, but or add it to a fact or something. But it's I'm currently using Pretzel Rocks, which gives you like copyright friendly music to use, and I've started making my own playlist there. Okay, so that didn't work very well. Oh, probably because we're just at like 1 pixel. So yeah, what I'm gonna do, so this color stop thing is in the coordinate space, and I want to turn it into like a percentage space. And so I'm gonna map this. And so this will be it.first times size.height to it.second. And then that should to array to typed array. That should do what we want. So yeah, just in general, I think some feedback I'm gonna give is just that I think often when you're setting the background on something, like if you're sizing it in other ways, you don't really want to be dealing in the coordinate space. You really want to just have it kind of fill whatever space is there. Because you don't know what the size is. The layout system is going to tell you that, and then you don't have that information at that time. So that's kind of what we want. Will there be a view pager feature bundled with Compose? Yeah, probably. I'm not sure when. Like if that'll be. I'm not sure if that'll be something that'll be done for 1.0 or not, but I'm sure we'll have one at one point. So kind of surprised that didn't work. Size.height. Maybe it should, but even if it's not, by the way, I appreciate that someone did a womp sound there. I like that. It depends how we do the coordinate system, but I mean, we can try changing that, but I don't think it'll change anything. So I don't know. Seems like that should have done it. Oh, well, okay. Maybe you're right. I'm not sure I understand then why this is visible now and it wasn't before. Sorry, it seems to work this time. So let me, I wanna, like if I do something like this, that should be almost completely white. And I wanna make sure that this is like working as I expect. That doesn't feel materially different from before. Colors. Am I missing something? Does anyone have any ideas here? It seems like I actually wonder, so I want to let's add like let's add a background here because I want to see what this is doing. Okay. Yeah, I mean, so at this point it seems like the color stop is getting ignored basically. Not sure why. So I don't know if there's a bug in this or what. what the deal would be. Seems like this will probably get the, it seems like this would have the exact same appearance. Yeah, which it does. Kind of want to, let's make sure that this covers okay. So I wonder if I do something like this, or if this does something sensible. I mean, that doesn't look any different to me. So I'm kind of surprised here. Like, I wonder if I just do like something like this, if it'll like do 4/5 of it white, and that it's actually just ignoring the float entirely. No change. That is sad, but okay. I mean, so I think just to get past this, yeah, I guess I can use a different color here. Blue. I think to get past it, what I might do is I'll just have the gradient just fill up a region. Well, I shouldn't have used the same color as that, but I think I will, yeah, just have it be like a small part. Yeah, I mean, it's almost, it's as if it's not even using anything beyond the second color and completely ignoring the color stops. So I don't know, that's kind of messed up. Let's just do, just to get past this, because we've already spent way too much time on this at this point, is I'm gonna have, let's just put these in a column. And let's see. I'm gonna give this one a gradient of transparent to white, you know, for whatever that'll do. And this can be like a fixed height, so we'll just call this like 100 dp. And then what we're gonna do, I hate that it goes for fold in. So we're gonna give this the fill max height of like, you know, 70% of the screen. And then we'll just give this a weight. And no gradient. So this is just going to be white. It's kind of annoying that I have to do this, but we'll see how this works. Is the music a little bit loud? Yeah, I can turn it down. Sorry about that. I just turned it down a little bit. Let me know if that seems better. Oh, the color stops are okay. Interesting. Let me undo this then. So if I just don't map this at all, then maybe that'll work like we expect. So I think that's what you're saying. All right, let's see how that works. Okay, so that now seems to work as expected. So that's good. Thank you for that, Alexander. Appreciate it. So maybe we'll give this like 30%, and then this feels a little high, so maybe 6. Right. Yeah, it's a little bit rough, but that might be fine. All right, and then let's position this movie poster a little bit. So basically with 0 offset, we kind of want the movie poster to be like bottom center, which let's try that. So alignment at bottom center. Let's see how that works. Okay. So that's starting to look kind of correct. For some form of correct. Now let's see if we can get the swiping kind of working here, of the image up here. So to do that, wonder what the best way to get like a swipe would be. Actually, no, I think all right, so let's figure out like our current. So we have offset, and offset is going to be like, let's say our index fraction, that is going to be our, actually, so we need to fix a few things here. So let's go ahead and do that. So we've got, so this is our screen width and DP. let's get our current density as well. Density ambient current. And then, so now we've got DPs here. Let's say our screen width px equals with density screen width dot to px. Screen height. And so we can fix a few things that we were doing before. Kind of. So these are DP, and before we had it in pixels, which maybe we should go back to pixels so that we're not doing this. All right, so now we can say like basically that, and that should now work better, because before it was moving incorrectly because we were the offset that the scrollable gives us is in pixels. Society Android. Yeah, I'm using Alpha 2. Alpha 3, I guess, changed it to Align, which I'm very pro of that name change. But yeah, so I'll update it to 03 later. Okay, so now when we're in here, we kind of want to get like a representation of our index, the current index that the user is expecting to see, based on the offset. So index fraction. See, so that's going to be offset divided by the screen width in pixels. All right. It says it needs to align for center horizontal. That confuses me. Not sure what you mean. That's an error message that you get. .2px gives us the pixel value. Yes, that's what we're doing here. And interesting. I don't know why that is for gravity. But so basically the gesture detector of scrolling is going to give us it's going to give us offset in a pixel value, and so we're going to be calculating some things based on that, and so we need to choose units to use here, and I'm just using pixels in this case, which is, it's kind of fine. I mean, the idea is that like we kind of want to specify laying things out in terms of DP, and then we can make calculations based on pixels as long as none of those pixel values are hard-coded. So let's see. What I want to do is I want to have I mean, all right. So if we had a bunch of movies, then we could only display the ones that that are like in our window. I think I'm gonna ignore that for the time being. And so like just to start, let's say that we are gonna make the image either visible or invisible depending on what the current thing like is based on the index fraction. So so if index fraction dot round to int is index, so we can think of it this way. So if it is, then it's 1, else 0, and we could add wow, I don't like that draw. Hopefully we've renamed that by now, but it's another bit of feedback. It seems like this should just be opacity, not draw opacity. And so let's see what that looks like. All right, so now as I scroll this, I should get, it should switch over to the Joker image, which doesn't appear to be showing up. None of these are showing up. Oh, I am doing the math wrong. So if I go over here, then it'll show up. Yeah. Okay. So I need to do that. Okay. This is basically working. Yeah, I mean, pretty reasonable. It's not still not great, but let's go back. So I mean, we can start moving the poster image around a little bit. Like it adjusts the Y position. We can do that. So so that could just be part of this like get Y calculation here. So Y position, we can calculate it inside here if we want. So basically we're gonna adjust the Y position based on how far from an integer multiple of screen width that it is. So center is going to be this basically. And then so distance from center is going to be offset minus center. And we will that. What? Actually, I want to do center minus offset. Why? Do I really only have double? I guess int is fine. Weird. Okay. So it's basically this value is when the offset is this value, then that means that the poster will be centered. So basically 0 is when the first poster is centered. And so here what we can do is this should give us like this should give us a float that that is basically how many screen widths away the card is from being centered. And I kind of want that to go to 1 and then stop, really. Let's see. So I'm gonna do we want it? How does this video look actually? Can go back here. Yeah, okay. So let's say that we want to go from, let's go from 0 to 1. Which is kind of silly, but I'm assuming that this clamps. Which is oh, thank you. Seems to draw on top of the current background, so you might need to bring to front while moving the Y position of the image. Yeah, but it's, so I will need to flip which image is on top, but I think to get this like wipe effect, I think I'll have to play around with the drawing a little bit. But I haven't tried that yet, so I'm not sure exactly how we'll do that, but so Let's just try. I guess it won't actually matter. So when this is 0, we'll be in the center. So let's say this distance from center. Where else am I reading it? Oh, I'm reading it here. Yeah, I'll play around with that. Okay, so let's say when it's 0, we're gonna be at 0, and then when it's at 1, we're gonna be, let's say, minus 50 or something. And then we'll use the distance from center as the fraction. What is this complaining about? How do we not have a... I assume there's a... should be a math helper is lerp for float. No. Maybe green went away. Why isn't this? Oh, we've got a dog in here. Hold on one second. Okay, so I kind of lost track of time. We're 26 minutes over, and I had some other stuff that I wanted to do today. So so I think I'm gonna leave it here. Maybe give you guys a oh no, the dog left already. He doesn't love me. Yeah, so I'll stop there. This was good. I feel like we made a little bit of progress. Found some good good pain points, and we'll pick this back up tomorrow. So tomorrow we'll do some more dog feeding, and definitely tune in. I appreciate all you guys, all of you, and see you later. Cheers.